What's up, my gloofy gloobers? I say gloofy gloobers completely unintentionally every time when I start one of these videos. I mean to say goofy gloopers. This is a joke. It's a joke. It's from SpongeBob, Goofy Goobers. Most of you probably already know this. Anyway, I already butchered this intro. My name is Chadtronic, and welcome to episode number 2 of Gloop. The number 2 most voted show that you guys wanted me to cover was the Fairly OddParents, which I know is a very good show. I remember the Fairly OddParents, specifically the freaking theme song, so freaking catchy. I mean, like, I've taken a couple years break from watching the Fairly OddParents. I mean, it's probably been 5, 6 years, 7 years, I don't know. Quite a while since I've seen the show, and I could still, in my head, hear exactly what the theme song sounds like. So whoever wrote that theme song, major props, it's very catchy. Here's some fun little trivia. Oh, before we get started, I kind of have to start off this video with some bummer news. The Fairly OddParents is not available as of right now to watch on any streaming service. I'm sure you guys will get clever, watch it on whatever else. I have it here on DVD, so that's what I'm choosing to watch it on. You can buy it on several different digital services. I know you can buy it to watch on like Amazon. It's not available via Amazon Prime streaming, but there are places you can buy it to if you want to watch it digitally or whatever. So that's kind of a bummer. Most shows, honestly, that's kind of weird. There's most of the time for most of these Nickelodeon shows, there's some streaming service that is streaming the show, but I guess for the Fairly OddParents, I don't know if it's a right issue or something, but it's not available on any streaming service. Anyway, let's get into a little bit of trivia. I did not watch the pilot episode of the Fairly OddParents. That's because there's a little unique of a background when it comes to Fairly OddParents. Fairly OddParents first started out as Oh Yeah cartoon shorts, and so technically the pilot is one of those shorts. There's not, I guess, not really a pilot of the actual show. The pilot, I mean, it is a pilot, but it's a part of one of those shorts. And it's kind of interesting, too. So it started off as, Fairly OddParents didn't start off as a show. It started off as like a short series that ran on Oh Yeah Cartoons. Started off in 1998 up until 2001 when the show actually took off in 2001. It began as its own show. There is a total of 10 shorts. It does say on the Wikipedia that each short has been released to DVD with the original audio, but after some looking, I can't find that. So like, I would love to review the Oh Yeah shorts of Fairly OddParents, but I can't find where those and the Wikipedia says it's available on DVD, but I can't find it. If you guys want to help me out with that, go ahead and tweet at me on Twitter if you can find where to buy some of those DVDs that apparently exist of the old shorts. Not the show, the shorts, the Oh Yeah shorts. So if you can find that, that'd be great. It is kind of neat. I can show a quick little screenshot. The art style from those shorts is significantly different from what it ended up being like in the show. Well, I can show a clip of that on screen. It looks a little different from what I'm sure a lot of you remember from the ongoing show because it's older, but anyway. Yeah, I thought it'd be kind of cool to show that. The very first episode of the Fairly OddParents is 2 different segments. First segment called The Big Problem, and the second one called Power Mad. And it's actually pretty good. I like the Fairly OddParents. I always thought it reminded me, its art style always reminded me a little bit of the Flintstones. And I think the creator, Butch Hartman, has even said that for his art style, that's kind of where he's gotten some of the inspiration. Actually, he's a super cool dude. He's actually made some videos actually drawing YouTubers and doing some sketches. He's a super cool dude. I don't know if you're ever gonna watch this video, but if you ever want to draw a YouTuber, I'm just saying, I'd make that crap. If I was drawn by the creator of Fairly OddParents, I'd make that probably my Twitter picture for show. That would be really cool. So I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Butch Hartman, super cool dude. He's made some videos drawing YouTubers, stuff like that. He gets it. He gets the online hemisphere of entertainment. He gets it. Super cool guy. Anyway, that's I'm getting kind of off track. So I watched for this first one, the very first episode, season 1, episode 1. The very first episode is very simple. It kind of goes along with the theme of what it's like to be a kid and versus what it's like to be a grown-up. I always like how in all these Nickelodeon shows, being an adult is almost like never brought up. It's always, everyone on every program is referred to as a grown-up. And that's kind of stuck with me. I still call adults grown-ups sometimes. I think that's like a Nickelodeon thing to call adults grown-ups. That's like a running theme on even like Rugrats to call adults grown-ups. I don't know. I always found that to be strange. It wasn't strange when I was a kid, but as I like watching this now, everything be called grown-ups is, I just think, kind of funny. So this starts off with basically Timmy's sick of being a kid. He's shown to be like playing with other football players at his school, and he's sick of being like a puny little shrimp kid. So he wishes from his fairy godparents to become an adult. But there's a problem with that they didn't realize, and once Timmy becomes an adult, he can no longer receive wishes from Cosmo and Wanda because of the fact that he's an adult. Because I guess one of the rules for fairies is they can't grant wishes for adults, they can only grant wishes for kids. So they're like stuck in this loophole where they're like just stuck with Timmy, but they can't actually grant him any wishes, which is a pretty interesting concept for the first episode. And as far as introducing the characters, introducing the overall theme to the show, concept of the show, it works well. So anyway, I'm getting kind of ahead of myself. They do introduce the parents. They end up going to a movie, and they call in Vicky to babysit. And Vicky does remind me of like every babysitter I've had. Actually, I shouldn't say that. The babysitters I had when I was a kid were actually very nice. But that's not the same experience for everyone. Vicky is what is the perfect example of what having like a bad and mean bully type babysitter is like. I like the running theme too. I don't know if this keeps going on throughout the entire show, but in the first episode, every time someone says the word Vicky, something shatters or breaks on the frame, like either a window or a mirror or a glass of water. Every time, anytime someone says the word Vicky, even Vicky herself, if she says her own name, something breaks. It's like a funny, like little Voldemort type trope that's really funny. And she sends Timmy to go to bed like right away, like 6 o'clock, which is like pretty early bedtime. So she's shown to be like incredibly mean and stuff like that. So Timmy envisions himself becoming an adult. Actually, I really like what Timmy's own like dreamed up version of what he would be like as an adult. He's like extremely buff and handsome, and he's even like showing pity in his like own like little daydream. He visits Vicky, who is now homeless, and for some reason Vicky, although she's a girl, she still has like a homeless beard. For like some reason, I just thought that was funny. I wanted to include a screenshot of that. Just like little things like that. You're only gonna find nonsense things like that in Nicktoons. I love that stuff. But then he ends up not really becoming what he envisioned. And when he does actually become an adult, he becomes like this super creepy bald guy. Not anything what he thought he'd look like. And he begins to learn all the like things that suck about being an adult. Like you have to pay bills, and you have, if you don't go to college, you don't get a good job, which is like a funny short little segment with a waiter at a restaurant. And even the waiter, he eats all the grown-up food, so that's a good thing about being grown-up, is you can eat a ton of food and have nice fancy food. But then he gets served the bill at the end of his meal, and he's like, "Oh, that goes to my parents," but they're not there. So it shows like the harsh reality of taking on responsibility and showing what it's like to be a grown-up, and that it's not very fun. Actually, it's kind of sad watching this as I'm older because I more relate to the older Timmy. When I watched this when I was a kid, I related more towards the younger Timmy who didn't want to become an adult. But in the end, they find a loophole where, like, if Timmy as an adult acts like a kid, he can be granted a wish. So he throws a fit. He ends up being put in like jail. Throws a fit, wanting his like mom and dad acting like a kid, and then because of that, he's able to be granted a wish, and then he of course wishes to become a kid again. So it's a very clever written episode. I really did enjoy it. There's even one part in the episode where Vicky realizes that Timmy's gone off being an adult, and so she replaces Timmy with a basketball in Timmy's bed, and that's even enough to fool Timmy's parents, apparently. Like, the dad just thinks, yeah, that's my kid, as he's like patting the basketball. Like, they always portray Timmy's parents to be like really dumb, but I think that's a thing for kids to really enjoy. It's just like a kid thing to when you watch a Nickelodeon show to think like, ooh, adults are lame, parents are lame. I even kind of run with that theme even on my own YouTube channel. You know, parents are lame, but we all become parents at some point. Well, most of us, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny. I like how also in all parts of the episode, anytime something is poofed or wished, like, it doesn't say poof. It says like something else like mature or scam. I like a little play on parody of like the old comic book Batman and Robin sound effect, comic books type transitions, effects, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, that's basically the first episode. It's a good episode. It introduces everyone very well, and it shows the hard realities of like what it's like to grow up, and it's funny. It's funny. So, and we can go ahead and get to the second segment called Power Mad, which is all about Timmy basically getting his hands on like a VR headset that I'm assuming was like given as a wish. He gets this VR headset video game, which is funny because when this aired in 2001, VR video games was like still like a really far out fantasy type thing. Like today, like VR headsets actually exist. So to like see this be something from 2001 and how much of that has actually become a reality is actually pretty cool. It's the episode starts off with like this Tron like parody theme, and they got some really cool like 3D effects that actually happen. I didn't think things like this happened till later in the show, but they actually have some really cool like 3D rendering going on for some of the scenes. Like there's a scene where Timmy's like dodging carrots because, you know, carrots are healthy to eat, and they're like bullets instead of, or they're like carrots instead of bullets, and it's making like a whole parody of the scene from The Matrix. So there's some pretty cool effects. And anyway, Timmy gets fed up with the game being too easy, so he asks Cosmo and Wanda to make himself a game that he can't wish himself out of. But this is like a weird loophole because in the game they end up making, there are like Cosmo and Wanda coins that can be grabbed and then you get wishes in the game. So I guess the whole spin is you can't wish yourself out of the game. You have to beat the game, I guess, and according to get out of the game. But then there's like this running theme where there's like these major power surges happening, and if the power goes out while they're in the game, you're like die forever. So Timmy's friends stop by as like Timmy's going to the bathroom. Also, that's like a weird factoid they reveal in this episode is that Timmy always goes to the bathroom at 6:13, which is funny because there's a lot of people who they do get on a routine like that and they do go to the bathroom every day at the same time. Even I'm kind of like that sometimes, although I don't keep a track of when that is, nor do my friends know when I go to the bathroom. But apparently Timmy's friends know when he goes to the bathroom, so they like, while he's in the bathroom, decide to hop in the video game, not knowing that it's like a game you can't like get out of, like it's a real thing. That's the thing, is that it's not really revealed. You know what? Now that I think about it, it's not really revealed that. Do Timmy's friends know about Timmy's fairy godparents? Is that like a thing? They don't really explain that. Now that I think about it, that they definitely see Cosmo and Wanda in the video game. I guess we'll just have to assume that Timmy's friends know about his fairy godparents. I guess that's true because when they actually are outside of Timmy's house and they see the power surge, they go, that can only mean one thing. That means Timmy has a new video game. So they must know that Timmy has fairy godparents. You know what I mean? Anyway, so Vicky, there's like, okay, one thing that's kind of silly and random is that while they're all in this game, at this particular time, Vicky just randomly decides for whatever reason to use lots of power. She plugs in like her stereo system, DVD player, TV, and she's just going insane with using power because she apparently, you know, she's not paying for it. So that's the reason she's using all this power. So Cosmo and Wanda basically have to keep Vicky at bay. They keep her entertained by actually keeping the television unplugged, but then imitate a television being on. So they do like all these like parodies of iconic TV shows like I Love Lucy, Seinfeld, and there's some pretty funny stuff. So they're like imitate being a TV to keep her entertained while not using power so that Timmy and his friends don't like die from a power surge in the video game. So yeah, they get through the video game. Also, just a little side note, I would love, I don't know for sure if this has ever been made, this episode has ever been made into an actual Fairly OddParents video game, but if it is, let me know. But if it isn't, I would really love to see a Fairly OddParents video game based off of this episode and the things that happen in this episode. I would play that video game. Even if it's a VR game, that would even be cool, but it doesn't even have to be a VR game. I would play a Fairly OddParents video game based on this episode because there's lots of like cool levels where they're like jumping around in a classroom, and the final boss is like this gigantic robot version of Vicky, who then they get this Cosmo coin, they make a wish. He just makes a vague wish saying, get rid of Vicky, and then Cosmo, to get rid of Vicky, all they had to do to defeat the final boss version of Vicky is like this like holographic fakey fantasy version of Timmy's parents just stop home saying, Vicky, you don't have to babysit anymore. And then she just like melts. Okay, I guess it's like her greatest weakness or something. I don't know. But they end up then getting out of the game, and then that pretty much ends the episode. And that's it. That wraps up the very first episode of the Fairly OddParents. This was what you guys voted for as the second most voted for show after SpongeBob. And I think that's just, you guys are probably, I think, voted up a lot of these shows because they're the shows that you guys are familiar with. Because these shows are from kind of the later era. These came after, just outside of the 90s cartoon era. But they're really good cartoons. I really like Fairly OddParents. I wish it really was available on a streaming service right now, but you get a DVD, find out whichever way you want to watch it. I really don't care. Yeah, that's about wraps up my thoughts on it, and I hope this episode was a little bit educational about it, and I'm excited to watch other episodes of Fairly OddParents. I think the next show I will be reviewing, hopefully next week, will be Goosebumps. That's the third show that you guys voted for. So that pretty much concludes the second ever episode of Gloop. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like on this video, and if you haven't seen the first review that I did on SpongeBob, go ahead and check out that video. I'd really appreciate it. That's it for this episode of Gloop. Thanks for tuning in, all you goofy gloopers. Peace!